Welcome to another edition of TechCast. Our guest today is John Shier, CISO at Sophos. Welcome, John.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
John, tell us a little about your role in the company.
Sure. Yeah. So I work in the CISO's office. I'm a field CISO at Sophos.
Right.
And what we do in the field CISO role is we work extensively with a lot of our research team. So Sophos XOps. So the people that are doing the threat analysis, the people that are building
Right.
the AI models, the ones that are doing incident response, to get a really good understanding of what the threats are, how they manifest themselves, so what
Right.
tools and tactics the bad guys are
Right.
using. And then out of that, we try to figure out what we need to do about it, right? So because I'm in the field CISO, or in the CISO team,
Right.
I also get to see the internals of how we protect ourselves from the bad guys. And then I take all that knowledge and I bring it out to the public, talk to our customers, our partners, and really try to advise them on how to reduce their risk and how to mitigate attacks.
Absolutely. Now, from your latest research, how aware do you think are organizations about AI risks, and what behavior or control gaps worry you the most?
Yeah, so we did some recent research. We asked a bunch of people about their thoughts around AI and where they thought some of the risks were. And we really found sort of three areas that concern people. One of them was just on the defense side. So while we've got a pretty proven track record with things like deep learning on how to protect against malware and phishing sites and phishing emails and those kinds of things, when it comes to now the use of Gen AI, which is
Right.
kind of the new thing into cybersecurity,
Right.
people just weren't sure if it was up to the task. They've read the news, they've seen that ChatGPT doesn't know how to count and it can't count the R's of
Right.
strawberry. So
Right.
they link that to cybersecurity. And they're like, okay, well, is it going to be up to the job? So a lot
Right.
of them were just concerned about that. The other aspect that they were concerned about was the cost. So the financial impact of
Right.
bringing that in. Their thinking was that bringing AI into cybersecurity products is going to raise the product cost. And they weren't sure if the cost savings, so
Right.
the savings that they were going to get from using AI were actually going to balance out. Now, it turns out that it might in some cases,
Right.
but that's just their feeling, right? And then finally, it was the operational cost. How are they going to implement all this stuff? How are they going to balance this new AI technology into their existing operational environment? Are they going to have to replace people? Are they going to have to redistribute how people do their work? So just that in and of itself was on their mind. So when you take all those three things together, there's some valid points. I think there's areas where we can allay some of those concerns. But at the end of the day, what it speaks to me is that we need to actually look carefully at how we're using AI, how it's being applied, and then make intelligent decisions about, is this right for my business and this particular task?
Absolutely. So in today's high-stakes environment, how do you think leaders should balance the promise of AI and automation with the vulnerabilities that they introduce or encounter?
Yeah, so when it comes to security leaders and just senior leaders in the organization, they really need to understand, what are we bringing AI into the organization to do?
Right.
And once you have a clear understanding of what it is that you want to do, then you can
Right.
start to more prescriptively apply it in the different tasks. You're
Right.
not going to automate entire jobs away.
Right.
That's just not going to happen, at least not right now.
Right.
And so you need to be really careful and very confident about, this is what we're going to try to do,
Right.
and start slowly. And so that's the first step. And then you need to understand what is available out there. What are the capabilities that we're trying to achieve? Are we
Right.
trying to do some automation? Are we trying to do some workforce enhancements and whatever? And really study the market and figure out what's out there. But and with respect to what we were just talking about, right? Putting all that together means, I think we can't just rush headlong into it.
Right.
I think we need to slow down and really think carefully about how this new technology could potentially revolutionize our business, right?
Right.
But there is an evolution here, which is, we've been through these technology changes before. So this is just another one of these. It's a big one,
Right.
but we need to take some of those lessons that we learned in the past and apply them now.
Absolutely. Now, we know that AI has its own vulnerabilities that go beyond tactical cyber threats. How do you think organizations should address these risks effectively?
First, we need to understand them.
Yeah.
Right. So you need to understand what those risks are, what the potential vulnerabilities are, and understand, again, as we flow through this conversation, understand, is the thing that I'm trying to do going to be affected by some of these risks and vulnerabilities.
Right.
And once you understand them, then you can start to think a little bit more prescriptively about, well, which model or which type of solution is going to be right for the problem that I'm trying to solve. And then I think you should ask for help. I think you should talk to trusted vendors, people that have been doing this before, experts, and talk to other people in your industry. Right. I think the one thing that we tend to miss out sometimes on in tech at large, but in cybersecurity, is learning from our peers.
Right.
And so asking them, hey, have you gone through this before? So you're in a specific industry. Go to your industry meetings and say, what have you done with AI that has helped your business?
Right.
And what are the things to look out for? And once you've got all that information, then you can start to, kind of go slowly and start to apply and implement the technologies that make sense for you.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, like, you've got to know what you're getting into, and you've got to apply what works for you.
Right.
With AI capable of generating realistic phishing emails, deepfakes, and other manipulative content, what risks should organizations and their staff be most aware of?
The biggest risk is with the use of AI now, everything's pretty much perfect.
Right.
You're not seeing spelling mistakes. You're not seeing grammar mistakes. A lot of these social scams are using AI to perfectly impersonate brands. You can even take information from past breaches and use that in your there's just so much more they can do now. It's really supercharged phishing. So when we're looking at these social scams, when we're looking at these threats, we go back to the basics and we go, all right, well, what's the intent here? What is this email trying to get me to do? Is it trying to get me to buy gift cards? Is it trying to get me to change a banking account number for one of our suppliers? What's it trying to do? And that call to action, that urgency sometimes is all that's needed to pique your interest.
Absolutely.
And that's when I think you contact your security department. But from a technology perspective, we can also use AI and other technologies to protect against these things. So natural language processing, looking at the language of the email, AI can sort of detect things that are that have that fishy smell to them, right? And then we can use things multimodal AI detection, which is using different AI models that are capable of looking at audio, video, text, images, because the bad guys are using multimedia, right? They'll embed a Word document, and inside that will be a QR code, and now you've got to go through those layers, right? So you can use AI to do that, but at the end of the day, it's just like anything else, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. So the awareness part still is there, the education part still is there, but at the end of the day, you also need to be able to react. So if somebody does click on an email, if somebody does click on something they shouldn't have, you need to have people that are ready to respond. And if you don't have those teams, we do.
Now, all that said, how do you think organizations should balance AI's potential with realistic expectations?
I think that I touched on this earlier, which is, in a sense, start small and go slowly. Right. So AI does have some potentially big implications for certain tasks in certain industries right now, and that will only grow over time. Right. As the technology develops, as we're able to hopefully reduce some of the risks and vulnerabilities that the technology presents, it'll open up new avenues. So start small, go slowly. So understand exactly what you're trying to do. There was a recent survey by MIT which looked at the way that AI was being applied in companies, and most of the pilots, like 95%, were failing. And I think that's because, as they stated, and I kind of agree, is companies are trying to do too much all at once, and just kind of spread it all over the environment. And what the survey found is that if you go with specialized vendors, and tackle one issue at a time, you have much better success than going at it alone and trying to do everything all at once. So it's really a matter of going into it with eyes wide open.
Absolutely. Now, what do you think of the cybersecurity landscape in the Middle East, and what threats are on the horizon for 2026?
So as far as the landscape goes locally, it very much mirrors what's happening globally. So globally, what we're seeing is, we're still seeing a lot of ransomware attacks, and we're seeing a lot more supply chain attacks. And those usually start with one of two things. It's either credential compromise, so stolen or lost credentials, or exploiting vulnerabilities. And so let's think about that. Well, those are the top two root causes, then those should be the top two mitigations, right? And if we look at some recent attacks,
Right.
Collins Aerospace that disrupted a bunch of flights in Europe,
Right.
the Jaguar Land Rover
Right.
ransomware attack, right?
Right.
Cascaded through their supply chain.
Mm.
Well, that can happen here, just like it can happen in the UK, just like it
Absolutely.
can happen anywhere else in the
Absolutely.
world. And the key here is that the criminals are very much still opportunistic in that first phase of the attack.
Right.
So they're looking for those stolen credentials, or they're buying those stolen credentials. They're looking for those vulnerable systems that are exposed to the internet and attacking
Right.
those. And so here in the Middle East, just like everywhere else, if we apply a little bit more security hygiene, if we really have a robust risk management framework applied to our organization, then we're going to do a little bit better.
Absolutely. I agree with that security hygiene part of it, which is not something too many organizations are aware of. Now, my last question to you is, with rising cyberforce workforce burnout, how is AI helping to reduce the human burden in threat monitoring and response?
Well, the first thing is something we've been doing for about a decade now, which is the prevention side of things, right?
Right.
We've been building models that have been very good at detecting never before seen malware.
Right.
AI is really good at that. It's capable of looking at just massive amounts of data and spotting the things that are wrong, and largely being able to let the good stuff through, right?
Right.
So the prevention side, that's one thing. The second piece now is that the middle bit, which is, okay, you've got a bunch of telemetry coming in,
Right, right.
making sense of all the data,
Right.
making sense of the context and the complexity of all that data, and looking at sort of understanding your baseline versus what bad looks like. And then that translates into being able to do SOC triage, so Security Operations Center, the people that are on the front lines of all the alerts coming in, all the telemetry
Right.
coming in, being able to only surface the things that the analysts need to look at.
Right.
You're going to take a bunch of those alerts away through prevention. Then you're going to deal with some of them, the lower level things, with some AI triage.
Right.
But then you're also going to bubble up the really important, maybe the edge cases to the
Right.
humans. And so that's going to reduce the amount of alert fatigue that they have.
Hmm.
They're going to be able to work on
Right.
things that are interesting,
Right.
but also fewer things.
Hmm.
And then down the line is as the AI is getting better at recognizing the events that are happening within not only
Right.
your organization, but in the global data centers around the world,
Right.
we can also provide summarization help. So
Right.
as we're surfacing these alerts, we can say,
Right.
here's what this alert has meant, like the last 100 times that I've seen it.
Right.
This is what we think that the threat is, and this is what we think you should do next. So giving the analysts some help so they can start their threat hunting with a lot more information rather than just blindly going, okay, there's an alert, what now?
Right.
They have a bit of a playbook.
Right.
And then finally we get into the remediation aspect as well. So now that we know we've done our hunt, we know what's been affected,
Right.
there's some remediation help that says, all right, based off of what we know this threat is and what it's done,
Right.
here's what we need to do, right?
Absolutely.
So wrapping all that together, I think there's different AI models, there's different technologies going to help with all these things. Part of it is going to be, machine learning, deep learning. Part of it's going to be Gen AI. But that whole thing, I think, helps to reduce the amount of just sort of drudgery that the humans have to go through.
Right. Right.
And because of that, I'm hoping it's going to be less burden on them. They're going to be
Absolutely.
sleeping better at night. They're going to be better
Absolutely.
fed, and they're going to be happy
Absolutely.
to do their jobs.
Absolutely. It's interesting to see where all this will go.
Yeah. And nowhere in this case is there, like, are we talking about replacing humans, right?
Right. Right.
What we're doing is we're trying to help the humans.
Absolutely. And that's where the awareness comes in.
Absolutely.
Right. That was a very insightful conversation. Thank you so much, John, for taking the
It's
time.
my absolute pleasure. Thank you for
Thank
having me.
you.